You're listening to Bitilo with Mfali Fadera. Assalamu alaikum mbadi no melalu ngali kontong ngali bismillah na bitilo kibaro to jang alnal badi malam falli fadera ngali kontong bi arabo mekaro tili mongola mbenyin sango men kono konton dro kola dorong kondel de ka kinyamen se kataba jibe ke kunto kibaro la ngamen soto jam bari ndamana ke doron nsale kalam tandiko nyaata demanding mbe kacha sot la jang kacha kumarimba akere kacha ti malon ko nimemba sot la wala mu Essa Njie keta moti malon ko la karandi lala mati londitio le mati politiko la fanala aka wala karandi University of the Gambia bara bola fanan karankan America banko kanjam nade be kaja kela politika fula kafukuta la ko like afme ko UMC Talib Bensouda ye politika fo men nyatun kaya ye Congress bemba kata ngosoro komanto Gambia banko kam yela nyaton ka kutolu tombong bari fanan e rally soto bufa zone ngaje molu fintita mo jama balu imabeta je mbe jibe lokela UMC nin Talib la kuola fo ko membe kering komen kidi molem dorom fo pati le fam musafo menna ko nyantale ye nyalo wakam politique party ko tangol nyantale ye silela ye hakilo tuto nyinin ku ko tangol ko men bebe ni UMC la kuola ol bebe kala fentimalon ko mba jibe la mba fanundla nim murtanan nyaato demanding Essa nge konton nge bismillah programme do nse bula ini mol se nyo konton kadabake nin konton dro botala nga jibe ke kunta kibaro la kola nsina dun kaja kono bismillah
baraka fani ondanta ko maja ko le ko la men de politiko la Gambia ni ku ko tamal la mbela jibe alfa na kontona be bismillah
baraka bake mbadi ngolu wala mu Essa Njie ko ngafu nyamen karandila karandingo politiko la karola Gambia banko kam nyaado demanding ni multanan doron nabe bulalo kacha kono nga tenten nga dinka kono ko ngafu nyamen UMC ni Talib Bensouda la kolem mbadi ngolu ko ngafu nyamen kunto kibaro lu mbofolo la menna wala mu kibati nga memuta standard newspaper bulu o bedending standard newspaper la kibar kuma bala akira kibati me alon ko bedending kitile la men sorta high court men felenting Banjul sate o kono damenti alon ko Ousainou Diallo do beje e ko wala la kitio te ye busaro la kanko e nyanta falale ko luwaya fa nyamen kibarolu yaitani je ko atenyi Ousainou akira moti me alon ko ye tumiro mel la kan wala mu ko anyapita mole kan atara sunyaro la wandi suwale kono ayatara sunyaro la wandi suwo kono biratara sunyaro la je ay mentara je a nyapita kan ay wo fa ko kibarulu yaitandi nyamene ka fo ko binta gasama e sanji taworo nim fulale balu yaitani je kata basabatiri nun fajara South Atlantic le e ko Ousainou boytate kan ala korda kono atara je sunyaro la wo sunyaro kono anata boy nying sanji taworo nim fula mero kan aya fa ko sota September karo kono 2022 samala ko kibaro le yaitani nyamenna meme maraling bundung high court la wala mu justice Aissatou Janati ata du yeme tandi wala mu ko ako bankola mule senandiro ke tumiro lu lale yemenu deng atani Ousainou Diallo kangoda anda atani je ko dalilo kambala ako niejibe loke tilimbali ala nin sangaro membe nyom bara sifa koma ako abe busaro la kanko isafa ko luwaya fo nyamen ko kibarolu ya itandi nyamena kibarolu ya itandi je ko atani Ousainou ikate ning membe nyin ko kono wala mu dindingo do dikafme ko Lamin Jane ko man sanji tang anin sesi ko kibarolu yaitani nyamena yaitani je ko nyim binta gasa mem mu talati e ko adi musole atara jonkongola abe boyrin jonkonkono ala suofon kono jabe boyrin je afaringo e ka di muso e kafme ko salifia wala tata tara wo bunkono wo nyama wo alhalo nyama ko kibarolu yaitandi nyamena ko atara je le fango a kensen wala fango be lari wo nyama wo jonko kono ya tani je ko ya tara farinje ya tara fango bungo fanan kono bebe jaka jakaring ya an fenko tango jamal yemanta je fengol men boko mbayalolu nyarandi fengol men boko sanolu ila moto chabolo ananyum fensifa ko ngol ko be yemanta ko kibaru le tani nyamena ngam bodo do nga jibe ke kiti bung kibaru do fanana o kera kiti de membe ke kan high court ban nyin silo law be ke kan high court le men felentim banju sato kono kera kiti de malon ko sana manjambe wala kono lieutenant colonel sana manjang sojar koto barakeda moti malon ko kada benum president koro jambela mo fala kafo kono le kafu meni ko di jonglas kibaro la tani je ko atani sana manjan no kitio e ko wole wuduta e ko bira wuduta bankola loyalu ye dandiro ke kiti bungola pour ise so e saje ila seda kotangi la famen commandla nan kitio nyin kono asike moti malon ko a nyada na tote bankela kenebato ata lankena mala ko yaitandi nyamena yaitandi je ko mole malon ko iko alpha bale matinum president koto jambela maralo kono andung iko amari la tanko ko kamba aning security la ko dalilo kambala e be laflele pour a ko seke sedo sala satoroke watara atoning amulungo man lankena ma amalla jamato kenebato ko kibarolu yaitandi nyamena biri yow dandiro ke kiti bungola eko bankola balamba bunda mol mem musana la loyati loya sanana la loya molula fanala wol fanam findita yo bay eko idolo jigita menna wol muko bankola molu man dalil sahayari landi kidi ngo kono menyanta tinnala fo nyin sedaw toning ala mulungote lankena manola ate sataro kenola banke do ko sede ko tangol ba kala nyamen biri balanta wala lemu kiti la nyinata kito teje ko aya itandi nyamen na te duye kito te ka itandi je ko abe sonna ate nyin banko molula daniro lale ko aya itandi nyamen na ko e dalilo mendi ate wasale wo ko la manata kito ta alo sawndi kata jun karotul tan nim fulo kan benyi sawo men kono pour kito se tenteng nga jibe ke kuma kan wala men buta suebu touré bulu suebu keta moti me alon ko atele nyaton ka ke PDOS patiola jamale mel londin doyla atele dia muta kaytani je ko president Adama Barrow nala mansakunda ako ku kilimbeje weyede ubake banko kan political karola nyintemena ako le mu banko opposition la so nyoka ngode ako ika silan naje president Adama Barrow fango nyatole ika silan naje afoku motole ate ning alamolu ani molmen be kafu kilin ko aytani nyamenna ako banko opposition la so nyoka ngo ako kule mealon ka tela crossro futata je ko ay president Adama Barrow balisino lele ko aya itandi nyamenna aytani je ko de ate nim jiko membe siri wole muko nim banko oppositionolu kafuta nyoma e mokilin tambindi ako ate jigitala ko o mukuti me alon ko ase president Adama Barrow la mansakunda boyndi nole ni lokun tambila president Adama Barrow diamuta nun ala rally doto ay meitandi wole muko ako abe meitandi la banko oppositionol la wole muko ni late fanna ako e kana de nyola e kana so nyokan e se ibengate fe e kunkilin nalu ko kibaru leten nyamina nimboro mbadi ngolu ngata ngajibe ke kuma kango la membre de president Adama Barrow bulu ay katele be project dialo ke kan banko santo karola nyon sifa do soto no wulli nyin dimasi tambila diamu taje brabe diamu kan e kare nyin president Adama Barrow ka be sasiro kela wulli dingola politician ke ba musidia jarati akaba sasila pour asina kafo atema ala NPP patio kam isaje ye banko doku e konyi manke sinya foloti pesa Adama Barrow ka sasiro ke sidia jatala pour asa kafama ye banko doku ke ko kibaro letani nyamena nimboro nga jibe ke kibaro do fana nga men soro jang membe dending university kutala mellota gambe banko kan e ka fa ko University of Education waketa Gambia College ye wala senkan ye wala yela mandi ya university di e ko university dum wala liyela karambunda fololu lankena maka walanka itandi molla comme wala dal men yalan ko wolel be karanna university do e ko ye wolelu kankula wala da jamalel beje wala dal men be dending karangola kola science and technology mathematics ananyum fensifa ko tangolu ko kibaro lu yetani nyamina mbari ngol be kum faro kela na banko kibaro la janne asela me demandi nim murtanam ning Essa Njie sinabla kacha kono ko ngafa nyamen ning Essa Njie bina men jibela ka kacha wole mu Talib Bensouda la koti anala UMC patio alkanata handlaro nim murtanan dron ning Essa sinadun kacha mbadi ngolu ngali konto ngali bismillah Bitilo to jang kote ke atul membe moy ka radio to gambe banko ngal be moy kam Vibes FM le 106.1 FM men flenti manja kunda sate kono APS International wolel blobe na Bitilo kibaro koma e kama ban kodi kiyo nin kodi tale karola nalla foka kodo ki kata Gambia albeda da dunia kono al se muna fang APS International la esa nkontantan se wota ke soto jam bi lafta nga kacha follow damento dorong wole mu ka jibe ke atin UMC la kuola ning bi ibe UMC la kuo kusensen na moye in terms of ilonya bankola political karola ibe muna fono la molie je UMC patio la kuola kuoto
Abaraka baga fundi UMC United Movement for Change ngamira lokun tamila wala movements nga dole safe just to say ko UMC monkey political party for like you wala ni dole je adan kan kaida na ko for amon sort of all that ngamira ko men fa senare
no esa laftal yo fongo dadi kule fongo pour mole men yalon ke ma understand tumando bate malo membe kering esa be mem fokan wala muko wato men nun congress be kering nun chocho be warade nun esa fintere ka seniandi ko alaftale pour mole se hakilotu ko UMC manke patiti follow ko banko constitutional ya lanya ngamra Talib Bensouda fongo ya kumandi pati yolla ala skacha do kono ay mensoto so esa be wole senandi kan so esa maybe saying senandi mole niko amanke patrioti why is that important what are you talking about there mun fatan fansile be je lafta mole se be men kalama mole se hakilo du mendo
but more comment and the policy is doing I don't really know why but yeah everybody is saying they are echoing.
Yes, mbo fanan je kan molula saferotole
maybe I use my phone and see quickly unfortunately.
Yeah. Nda dum be moy kan nak from my end be moy kan kataba kende kede bari maybe ngo fanan try isa mobile fanan try tarin ke ngo jibe ani bi doron badi ngolu kal hakilo ban doron ko al ning Bitilo le mu al badi malum falli federa ning Essa Njie le be jang Essa yes ibe moy kan ndebe moy kan sa
but seems it's echoing I don't know seems this is from your side guys.
Okay, but you go ahead and be moy kan absene arin de la karola nak.
Okay, so for UMC Monkey political party in line with the Elections Act of 2025. Okay, Simon Ekoka. So UMC quite clearly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so UMC is not a political party in line with the Elections Act of 2025 because the Elections Act of 2025 GB, I meant for clearly what a political party is in the interpretation section of the Act Code. A political party is an association of organized Gambians, Melialon Code. It's an association of Gambian citizens organized to acquire and exercise political power. Okay. So and registered in line with the Act. So the key word here is registered. So Nimang registered as an entity among a political party in line with the Elections Act. So but Talib made a statement on Kerfatu UMC is already a political party. So that's what I reacted to. Because initially, the party acting, Kabira Fono, Ntadala attempted, but I ignored. But Kabirin, ila Congress kata, I saw Fatu network writing party leader. I was like, okay, maybe clarification is needed here so that people are not misled. And that was the reason why I wrote that piece. So I saw some people reacting and taking it personal. Look, Talib is a public figure. Namantara political corner, nobody will talk about him. But I was not even talking about him. I was talking about Kumakang Memfo. And in Memfo, well, I honey the best lawyer in the entire world, Nanata Sila, Konyako, no Memfo Amansoro. Based on law, at a refute no longer Memfo. You don't need to be a lawyer, Pruka understand. So Memfo was very clear. Tadi fonte ata nati fonte la piece di dabal na ko nyeme photo nyale and that and so la but the model they took it personal almal albe finger and all that I'm like this is nothing personal I'm just being clear UMC as far as the law is concerned right now a monkey political party ni register political party demoti and there's no grudge that I hold against UMC to be honest I mean I don't need to go into all that but I just felt like it is our responsibility Melialan ko nga domandi suute man felon na londo deata but nga domandi suute no pour ka clarify. That was the reason why I wrote that piece, but it was not impersonal. I hold high regards for Talib Bensouda. I think he's very hardworking. He has a future in Gambian politics, but I felt like there was need for me to clarify so that people understand that UMC manke political party until ni register in line with our laws, because at the end based on law in a political party wala na clarify based on law.
So basically in the loi mem for wole muko mo kafula political party yate bulanola nima register. So what registration sembo be jumala bulu?
Abe IEC le bulu. So same thing. UMC ani momo be la fini UMC ke political party te preso nyandra la IEC la kan. Ni I remember 2 or 3 weeks ago nga piece safelo non to correct Joe Colley when he cited the wrong section of the constitution. Everybody knew that they were, he was referring to UMC. So that piece was kind of in defense of UMC found. So what I was trying to say, it Elections Act apply no la UMC can, because UMC man ke political party. Because yalom Talib Bensouda program ko, there's a difference between a party and a registered party. There's nothing like that. Difference mantara. A political party is a political party. Me alon ka register. You understand? So niko constitutional, for example, constitutional ben law lele kono. But the constitutional ka kodo aka framework le itandi, ay ko faram sa bara ka specific wala na constitutional ka room di pour ye acts of the National Assembly so take care. So the Elections Act was created by an act of parliament, or parliament la loi le me anko ya dida specifically pour kana election o jibe. So wala nanko IEC te loi la no la UMC can using the Elections Act, because Elections Act mean
it's
only
about
over
parties.
Political parties. So UMC man ke political party ti neo sectional TB jokoli ka melfonum was section 104 kata 110 will man apply to UMC because it man ke political. So it kulu no la kam tani ko be parliament national assembly members will te ku ke no la pour ka fin de bande député bu ngola kullo wanyar. Now ni tata ram fadi man ke national assembly member ti tare kullo wanyar. Ito section on you wala loi ni use no la kete busa wala. Ebe loi do use la because he man ke national assembly member ti. So the law is only applied to somebody when they are bound by the provisions of that law. Not because law interpretation section sorry. So near feng offense sorry doubt sorry kata interpretation section. So jang interpretation section you will kumata. Where may it and the political party is an association of Gambians citizens Gambian citizens organized to acquire and exercise political power and registered. Law may say another nunca danta will to acquire and exercise political power. Then the UMC is for no more party let because I'm a register for. I'm a for all register. I'm a okay. Yeah, and that is the key word here. So unregistered, those are the 2 keywords here. So Nima registered
And
political party.
And then near jibe registration sembo member wolum IEC.
Wala ICT wala nyanda tariyandila malon dalilo membe bulu for be target can never, because mojama believe tako including myself UMC seems to be a target of the IEC. Wala tinne ba draka because kapatili jelmele kana jeninje rek register. UMC the sembo be nyama no all that itata le ko nyanta fendel correct la itata yol correct side. I think the IEC should just register the group, and so that it could be a political party, and then so that they can enjoy all the privileges of a political party in line with the Elections Act.
Essa, on that particular point, this is kind of one of the main argument kacha kungolti bari say ning atara Talib ning UMC ma register form for the carte fa watu kono December ise munekeno anita munekeno la wa carte fa tumola.
Okay, so law made it very clearly, and I agree with Talib on that. And a statement of Rako, the only thing they cannot do is to sponsor a candidate. Law made it Nima register. It's a menkeno. I hope that we will not reach there. I see the UMC register lale, janding Buffalo because they will not have any reasons. But Nima register no, janding election no, it's a menkeno wolemuko. Talib can contest as an independent candidate. Because UMC manke political party to buy then it have sponsor no, it's only political parties that can sponsor a candidate. So Nico
sponsor pour molmen ma kalamuta dro wala Motelo nola UMC toyala.
Toyala. Namanke political party.
Use kela fengol fenga and all of that.
Ite okay nola. Ite logo use nola. Ite feng use nola. Kav UMC la logo mbolo use la wala color because political party in the maleko soto. So isa menke no wala yeke independent. Wala na no alliance dibe. E manke political party te wala tinna ila deputy ol be melbe kalon no alliance toyala. E be kana ka foko no alliance candidate. Okay, and Lua may allow the APRC la flag or use or la color use because even though some of them will parties with a green dung and all that, but Lua la Carole because in a campaign of the because what the logo use no because APRC will register formally as a political party, so it will more a candidate will have an independent. Well, and National Assembly will independent. So political ni UMC ma register no is a menke no wole moko ye Talib se contest no as an independent candidate. Provided that all the requirements meet for nomination as a president, I became one independent candidate. UMC sa back no. It's not no fanga. UMC sa for no na candidate. It's all became no, but it's a color use no, it's a symbol use no and o kuko melan ko political.
IEC fanana kampularo bala UMC tote taralaje ko
IEC fanana kampularo UMC tote taralaje membe taraje wala independent candidate. But I hope that in the futala auto UMC will be registered, they'll be treated fairly. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Essa. Ngamira wo senata bakila, but I think intela miro ro fanan ke jansa je demanding. I think wo fana mu hu balatin la luwal kono because ni na rajibe loke luwal la men bedending ani sarto la men bedending political party la kola Gambia banko kan sarta kolem balel mu ebe registra 1 million ila financial accountability ika kodo sore nyame ka finti nyame nyantale wol be banke ye lankenama ka congress so kake political party di Gambia is very expensive bari independent yabeji ko ya fo nyaming nde se politique ka fo lonole nde sonna register la because nima register IEC la ni sartol telano lankang comme ka fo ko ngata register with a million nsina no le nga political movement o londi hani say mo political ka fo ladi ni nse tara no politique ka fi yala fo carte fayo si nga contest without having to abide by IEC la ni rules will be. So I don't know, in your view, is that a loophole in our system for mu kenolati bang or am I reading it wrongly?
No, so ngamira menyanta kela na luwa nyanta Senegal lale in time because this elections act itself niaji by witness Jamal El Soto luwa nyanta Senegal lale political party se menkeno a fofana nko ni manke political parties ise munekeno ita munekeno la ngama sa luwa man Senegal wala to atay men fodro wala political party le wala nanko joko lo statement o ko political grupo lel be jamel ka fenke me alon ko imanya na kele be election loi tinyaka imantra tinyaka because election law ma seneandi ni manke political party ti ite munekeno la you understand because people have to understand UMC is a political group. It's a political. You can call it a political association. You can call it a political entity, but you cannot call it a political party in line with our law. Because yalong political, niko political. Fali banko ko be. Femo fen katama banko. Wala na political scientist ol kafoko. Politics is about everything that happens in the state revolves around politics. Politics happens in every corner of human existence.
It's a way of life.
It's a way of life. So UMC, sako mol meli yalong to be masakunda, le hamu muwaldi. Political group leng. Political association, like political entity, like, or political movement, whatever, but it are for no like a political party, especially la loi kan. So don't la loi, I loophole sort of wallet or a man saying okay, political party nyanta nyinekela, nimba manke political party ite nyinkenola. Ite nyinkeno because political party wala party te met register. So ni man kati ite nyinkeno ngam la loi la fenko be wala to anyanta wala senen land as far as na londo ngamel lonje ngam la loopholes nyimba wala to so wala ne bika apply no to entities that are not political parties.
Thank you very much, Essa Njie. Abaraka bake ko Essa MM fo ngaba ninde fana la fa political party lo la wara movement mbekela movement ol ndekela party di because ni kena political party di wa certale yeta ay million jo yeta ay congress ke yeta ay nyin kool beke
habaya
ni kena
advantage
movement di
political party
si yeta yeke ye register as an independent to
political
me it's
party
not the same anyway.
So
yeah,
it a lot of
laftale nga la ko tango dul fana njibe because mala fi nakacha be tara loring go kukil ngokam ko nga fa nyaming UMC e congress soto nying lokun tambila ngaje congress ni mol findita alhamdulillah yela nyaton ko lu tombong but wokola fanan inata rally bakatan soto bufa zone molu fanan findita a nyama kende ke fangode. It was very impressive moment nanka mo findita ma bete law dlaro. So la fake nyininka menna mose mune karanno woto wo mo jamala finto UMC yo mo men nanka mo fintindino because jamala siya fende me alonko akumada la politiko kono hannin ko deje ake mari la fa wakilo la ke sawarindi la ke akela jiko ni la hope fana warandile ite amira mose mune karanno UMC lo congress ni rally to ko be kita nyame mo la finto kenya ni ku ko tangol membe den ni wala.
So Gambian politics, obviously, crowd can contribute. Like coming for crowd politics always, and especially in party nata kutama. Now I remember in 2015 or 16 specifically, covering Mama Kande Natanung, he attracted crowd even though it was on the Jame. You understand? So more ka waki le niye mo kuto jame alan Canada. Tafla ko talib mo kuto the political kono, but at least coming up with a group or a movement, me alan ko aspires to be a political party. Ningo keta dorom obviously more be fenkala. And also you have to accept one thing. Talib is also very admirable. He's liked especially among young people. Surtout ala tundo fonga memo kanifi municipality ting. I support sort of background. And imagine like Congress nyinke wolto, I rally nyim fananke wolto, what abe puruka mul attract nang, what a surprise by virtue of the fact that Gambian on near fankuto je political la Carola, especially in Jamata batata with the status quo. Imanjiki maybe manjiki incumbent la imanjiko finance sort of oppositional dollar inate moja me anonko funding kewaleng ala track record better atale because if you look at Tali for example a lot of people in KM including myself as a resident of KM menka kartofa KM I'm impressed with the work that he has done I KM Kenyameng I tamandir nyameng keje so obviously and that was what earned him a second term in 2023, despite all the campaign states in Menke, niaji be concentration on Menke KM imoke dulato. But despite that, and I a sitting minister at the time, I would put booty. So that was tremendous. So puru modi na ye fintinang, that was something that a lot of people would expect. Would have expected UMC so okay no. And then also niaji be fanang the kind of fenko ala messaging for example trying to say our goal is to transform this country manta political nyo kela wala political nendiro wala political fenko lafta men na wala kanyim banko falling you understand so people coming out to rally behind Talib especially at the Congress also it was the first time people want to see new party wala new movement or not a party but new movement of Minnesota Gambian or the same thing. They want to come and listen to him. And I think that was responsible for the turnout. But also Gambia Nyaji become Nafanyaming. Moloka Kidi Kukuto Kanye. Well, I hope that they
But
maintain the
Essa,
momentum.
on that point, sorry, malafike kuntu bari ngala no ko ema wari jama fanan so and we have a lot of issues to discuss. Nga politik kafu kuta jama lelije menu wulita Gambia bari ibuka ela kolu buka kidi maten coming Talib takita nyaming. We've seen Essa Fall, to my estimation, he has not been able to mobilize this amount of crowd and attention. Nga mo ko tengol je jenne Dr. Ismaila Cissé ya try no jenne nga mo jamal jele men yalon ko ya try man wutuno but yamira ko what is it that is working for Talib that is not working for the rest nga karafa nyinin ka nyinale nga karafa soto jenne last week so atela on miroto ako comment Talib mantara start come fresh he's also in it with people men yalon ko ye experience soto but ite kundingo ite la karamu muneti Talib ye nyin jama kafuno nyoma nyamen taringe.
Yeah, it's because coming after Nyamendorong. Talib manke mokuto the political kono. Niachi be, I mean, Ismaila, for example, joined politics. Adadaka, I rally Congress and all that. Esafal did the same thing. But Talib manke mokuto the political kono. Manke kumudun kutoti, right? Maninkol kafa Nyame. I made a like bring 2018 like I contested as a mayoral candidate. I winter, I mean overwhelmingly. Amutra kotenka anata kotenka coming after Nyame. A winter kotenke and way more jamali from surprise at the time, right? Model beji because of the level of state campaign and all that. So a manke mo kutoti political kono came niaji be from new kamal kono. Talib experience men sort of politically, none of them have it. Right? I tell la political experience what at you debate. So ko anim melialum ko sa ko be generation killing. Well, sangol siol sangol manjam fanyola come esa benyame ismela benyame and other people. Atele political momentum, atele political experience sort of and exposure sort of an angalti. And the second thing also is coming, to be honest, I will agree with Karafa on that. Come animal fanam bakono because nyajibe kabli ismail kana, for example, ninjuma lelbe political kono mol melialon ko they had zero political experience and wala dunda kono. You understand? You look at Esa Fall as well. Literally, he was the only one movement je kanong. Zero political experience mo Jamal Beje Mel Dundakono. But near Talib Jibe, for example, Karafa had been in UDP since 1996. You look at people like Ayamen Densanyang, a sitting National Assembly member. You look at people like Kemo Bojang, who had been in UDP since one can say Kabirabe Doyari. You look at MC Cham Jr. had been in politics, Kabiya, Jamela Taimo, and all those individuals around him, Meleanonko. At least, whether you agree with them or not on certain things, but your political experience and exposure certainly. And Talib ni Mulel Fananada, Meleanonko, been UDP, for example, your political KJ, your Kelo KJ, Captain 1996, your experience sort of exposure sort of, inata nung inaka futanyoma. So obviously, Wolfang Damala influence would be able to pull a lot of crowd, including Talib Fongla momentum, another experience, another track record as mayor of KM. You know, what was the contributing factor? And clearly differentiates him from the other people that were newcomers in the field.
So Congress nying ani rally bekete nyame mune nyaboje mune me nyaboje. I think molla finto kola, you know, it's evident that Kodi Jamala duntaje asobil molla na folu tisatolu. So what is your assessment of what impressed you, you know, mune nyabo mune me nyaboje anim fanang yef kolumen korosi mose mune karanoje in terms of Talib Hamo mental ambition?
Yeah, you know, Congress went very well. It was highly organized, you know, especially as a new force, and you want to impress people, obviously, in terms of organization, in terms of coordination, and all that. Rallying in Fanang was held, and you know, it seems like what I've learned, you know, through Modola Diamo for coming more but on other parts of the country. And that's very normal in Gambian politics, Purukamul Samanang, because it's also important. Nikoko, a political party is, you know, is national. It's important Nibo even Sifala because
Sapela
Congress obviously.
Benfolo.
Sakola Ben follow for your mood sotonang from different parts of the country, Niko Congress, even though it's not a political party, but it's a political movement, and ibe kafole mu, ibe Congress kekang. It's important you get people from other parts of the country. That was good, and also rallying into Fanang, Puruka Feng. Anum, come in Gambia, political. I mean, not only Gambia, political Fanambo Nyamale. Yeah, the crowd ninka aka contribute back because akatin nalako ila opponent nyimfango sila aye mirakun. Akanda limol kana nyobori ngola, you know, kidimol ni fengolo kelo ni, you know, wuro ni dongol mel bekake o fanan kati nalako moka sila ni wo kuma balten. So obviously UMC doing that was political. It was highly political purka ko na crowd pool na because niko ko Talib ka fo men nako on by May 16, Mobile strength London. I think I heard him saying that before. Either him or somebody else said by May 16, Mobile strength London. So I've been meant to wole crowd me. Mom findilana. You understand? I mean, whether that will translate into vote is something that we could talk about. But yeah, it was really good in terms of the organization. I think what should have also been done, you know, better, for example, I don't know whether this happened exactly. Excuse, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But it seems like for election le manke bangila palaso ni MLD. I don't know because in the seat of the wrong list oje. Karning palaso da. But for election kita le numbang. Into this
Like Simfalu Menuketa for
Simfale
Janin
Menuketa.
Tombon Robekela. Yeah, I think that did not come out well. Coming Kujama Findi water, but nga flyer jelenung in the run up to the event, Janin Bengonim Bekela. Nga jele yedole la flyer fintindi eko wonin talib lebe compete kang party leader yala nung. One of their members. So mejikiri menna wole muko tumando bato ye but I think that also could have come out to show that, you know,
transparency
yeah,
and
transparent
democratic
and
process.
Jamal
Yeah.
Beje. Yeah, that's a good point. So
Yeah.
bari lafang amen fanan jibe esa.
Mhm.
Birin ko ya fanyaming idanta da mendo lafanga nga lo wolto nga tenteng in terms of yemolu menu tombong nata listo menje. Talib Ahmed Bensouda obviously atele mu pati ngaton kodi. Bari naraje ko ate norma menu beje in terms of yela party fong structure nyame yela party yo ko londi nyame enin party ko tangol ta fatatale e kaje jama party leader da male kasoto secretary general bari ni o botala dore e national president le soto bari to liye deputy party leader soto le mentara fo party deputy party leader nani party nyato ko malankolu o pala soto le fo pala nani ngamra you know kemo mu deputy party leader ti karfa mu deputy party leader ti ya mente mu deputy party leader Nena Freda Gomez mu deputy party leader ti Ibrahima Diba mu national presidency in the party. So in terms of ila party yonying yalo nyameng ila makamolo nim palasolu killing mose munu karano woro bari molu menu fanan nata tombon kake o palasolu mose munu karano woro yeji be ke nyimol men yalon ko wolel be party yo nyaranka atalas killing mo saba fanko almost kemo kono tankonon to be mu UDP koto lelti mose munu karano woro.
Well, it shows that Talib covering movement, okay, separate. Obviously, they cannot build this movement into a political party, a formidable political party without those, people like Mel Bottom and UDP, because I know what not anyola, I know what Mosa Foko from Italy movement on start. So obviously, from the start, near Ecobol Bondelaje, Achocho be warlale. At the end of the day, about Bumajimbe Boila water amal low follow. So, I think that was a contributing factor. But not a men corrosive fanang. Because
So basically Juli Jolem.
at some point, I wouldn't call it Julujo. I wouldn't call it Julujo, but it can only coma because in it la kurukuru, in it la futata. So I think for you state to Palaso especially some of these people are experienced politicians. Karafa has been in politics since '96, as far as I know.
30 years, yeah.
Yeah, you talk about the Sanyang, even though I'm a political kono my Kianka brother, but he's also a sitting National Assembly member and he has influence. In fact, I win the diamond from the Latakunda Sabi. He contested against an incumbent. Many people did not even believe Kabe win. No. Yeah, so some people, let me put it that way. So your experience total, obviously you need those people. They came Bojans because ye Jalai Roja Fananta Kabli Bota UDP. Mojama Miracle Karafa, Mojama Miracle Karafa Bola UDP. Came Bojan the same. But ye Jalai Roja Maleta, so Nina obviously for ye if but then the structure nying kama ya fanya mang mang party dol jemelam ko la structure ka even though this is not a political party yet but man dol jemel ya lon ko politique ka fo le muti la structure ka I don't know and I'm not saying ko amanya na kelaten because maybe they have their way of doing things but at some point fananga men korosi akamta ko ka fo nying na korosi lon ko la fo etende ka fo nying fanang mo jama beje e be la firim place because you don't also want to start more track and fast. Kabiri say more like a sort. At some point, you have to create position. Almost everyone has to have a position so that they stay relevant, so that they're able to mobilize and do their work. So if Malafi men assign thing at a start, you don't want to anger people or you don't want to upset people, right? So it seems like can your police fanambejela at some point? Momo dula sote be mutala so that you're able to mobilize, and that could be a strategy too. Niko could be alanga dang instead of going for, let's say, 50 executive members or 60, you just go with 20 executive members. Model say fanjonole and yajo ko palaso mantarambul welentala doko tesembo te warala. But limu wajo ko palaso babule ala doko sembo se warno se wakil nole I mobilization can. I think UMC at this stage be solar menna wole mobilization especially across the nation, across the country. They don't only want to stop at KM, and that's something that I want us to look at quickly. In terms of momentum nyimbe nyameng, what are the chances of even winning elections in 2026 December?
No, mina wotole in a bit. But be in terms of nyatun kol meni alon ko wolel tombong. Akamta ko ngamol meni jeje asembe malu nsafo nying doba dingol lem. Jamal beje e ka Talib suti andi menu la kuala ba ke wole mu nying KMC if mol safo nyadi di Karaba Avenue Elite. Karaba Avenue mol mu nying fenko luteng. Mawolu jamaje in the executive. Is that a deliberate move? in terms of coming patio nyina hamo because ninga to nya fa nyoye nyin mol men yalon ko ila finto ma wara banko kan comme nyin mol menu yalon ko ila mama woni ila kulwo ni kujama be jabe nyin kombo tuba banko lel kan tumando bato wolu dolu te ite mari la ko janjando la banko kan ko tumando bato mol men bako ibrahima dibanyul sakeno. So basically I just want to understand for there is something that we can read into that. The fact that Nying Karaba Avenue, KMC, Banjul Molu, Manjama Baluje, ila Nying National Executive Okono, because yala mo jamal fanan katalib la ko sembe no la kata bota wolle kono, basically.
But Yalong, people should not expect those people to be there because I mean I don't even know who are those people specifically, but people should not expect that also because Talib no will mad that he. Talib betunda political kono even in UDP. Wal jama bigi mantara bala anata la dunda UDP abamal be UDP mo be mello adunda UDP ya kurukuru a start for after ni state to so kabila be farasita falang UDP fanam bala amanke ka wolle nata anu wolle kabila farasita do anu wolle ko dati so ani ni moli kan ni fol do ba dingola anu wolle meta kan ito la kurukuru ito le fasa state nata for ni state to so you don't that is even going to send a very bad signal because mojama kam mira wala mo ko ñu mu fen ko lelti la ñu comme ka fa ñame ñing elite group so le muti so ita mala ka ñu fen so ni na do from the start e ko be wol samala nan into the executive and all that will to be faraman salaje abe mani la be watna ko comme ni ko ye accuse buayala ye tumi buayala na ta kulo je bulu
Denan
singo je bulu so yeah adiamo ka so at this stage I don't think they need that Abasula dem men America. But some of them fana manke politician all dem fanli. Gambia political ma fanchung, arenality me alonko. You need to understand it, especially grassroots politics. And some of these people like Mentengwal, Karafawal, you made a political konole, and they have an idea grassroots politics ka work nyameng rather than mul melialonko mandunga kono. Wodo be jaskino jara so mo fay man tamala ni ko bol sambala ne be dundé la politique kono e be danna banjul le doronga kam tala ko PPP jamano wala colonial le jamano men ka do politique be banjul na la sorandis la to so wala bita kele la dino vide and Gambian election pour ka win you need that broad national recognition and support.
No, I think that is important.
About 5-6 minutes so 7 minutes so we can quickly
but I mojamal fanan ben jibe kan molbe react kan I think this person ye fem for I think ato moral candidate ko niaje deputy soto I think it's also like a leadership tracklem, Tumando bado in deputy B, one can argue that ning kukera talibla in terms of disqualification or anything is a kilimbondi no will konole yes sando. But Essa Honeybee from the Congress, lafta ngalo damendo ngajibe nyimbo lameni alonko ye wolle tombonga as executive sako fango ila executive leadership santo talib nala deputy ila crossroad. Do you think these are people that can deliver the country to Talib? Nyunise banko sikano le kala Talibu bulbang. Ne nyumolu jibe, nene Freda, Kemo Bojang, Ibrahim Diba, Karafa, MC Cham maybe. What do you think?
I think Talib will need more and more experienced politicians. I'm not saying coming after Nyameng, some of these people have experience in politics, but dolbeje fanang, ela dung politiko kona mamme fanang. If you look at Karafa Meta Konole, but you look at Yaya Sanyang, even though he's good, aka Funko Kenyameng, political Kenyameng and all that, especially when in Latukuna Sabi sit, as I said, but I'm a political fanang kono nyama. You look at Kemo Boya, yes, it's Africa Kabila in WDP, but I'm a me near COGB fanang. You look at Nene Freda will fanang me political kono nyama. You look at MC Cham fanang South Africa Jamila time more, but you need more Melianonko. They are more experienced and well connected, especially at the grassroots level. I'm not compared to can you look potential contribution or la. But I think to be able to deliver the country totally, for election or winner, you definitely need experienced politicians, especially at the grassroots. And I'm going to more million come executive kono, while more nyake je banta and all that to look at their media to. What the mabka election or winner? In fact, what beka election o winnie mel ya lon koy be at the grassroots mel be searing wodulalto wala ne kany regional chairman or soto and chairwoman in those regional structures and ward structures and constituency structures, well, they are very important. So who are the kind of people that you will get in those communities? Okay, wala kumata jang. It is not only about the executive. Ninga executive jang koko kari fekara. No. It goes beyond that. Gambian elections is beyond that. You must go beyond that. You must go at the grassroots level. You must sort of media along koi fana kamol sort of la community tole, ila ward sol tole, ila village sol tole, ila bang, ila constituency tole, ani la regional to. Kantiol melbeji for your ward sort of to be able to get the votes that you need.
So esa Talib la chances sol be nyadile Gambia karo bela kad coming yado mandingo malanu Jamal kamem fo wole muko asembo be KMC la kono ay maralo ki demendo fo sanji sey dol ko niya test ya samba at the national level ya bula quartier fayo kono banko bela karola quartier fayo me banko bebeng tumando bato ate gagné la ko aka gagné nyamen KMC kono lafa basically mbeme nyinin ka kan wala mu ye Talib la kuol je nyaadile based on ala darajo banko la karobe la fo darajo se banko fan sino amala.
Okay, Gambian election we can't predict fully because it can be very tricky and very highly unpredictable. But one thing I want to say on records is that more kana judu Talib la, especially the incumbent, and I think Hamad Ba even gave this warning.
Why muna ne ko mol kana jutala?
Okay, we're coming out for Nyameng and in other new politician or newcomer different than Nyameng, especially animal generation killing. I experienced sort of huh?
Ngo kodo babul.
Well, Kodo, I don't know for Kodo Babule, but in all no Kodal, I experienced Sotole, I exposed Sotole, a track record in Betiata, and he's well likable among the young people. You know, he's admired among young people, especially KM. KM Fanamang Dulan Dinti. KM is the second largest electoral region in the country. Atella votes on Seattle, Libota West Coast region like KM Lesotho. So that is those are factors, but also niaji be fanang I animan sakunda meta nyolale kabin Talib nar obviously kelole meta kan mobe ala no tonya ala ko tonya kelo meta kan ne from one fight to the other or one battle to the other akatulo la kono. So masakunda ko be trial for nada obviously the local government commission that Kafoko is a target at some point. So it will be a jail. But another from a second a re-election of Win Yameng in 2023, Niaji becoming now with the state machinery being at a president of campaign on the ground. You have other people, ambassador Melbe Bante Kanan and Gambian ambassador or for diplomats. So we contribute. So if I tell Talib Manke new committee, I manke kumudum kutoti, whether more kana jutala, he can put up something. But it also depends on whether he'll be able to keep the momentum or not. Not on momentum you keep Nola, that will also depend highly on, as I said, a broader national recognition. You don't only stop at KM because KM will not deliver you the country, will not win you election.
Esa ngalam wato tebulu so lafa ke nyin ngamen na katabake sa iko molu kana jutuk Talib la molu se hakilo tu wato bari munebe Talib to mose mensat na muade tombong ye dabutu je wara baro.
Well, I mean, in terms of, as I always say, Adam Barrow, I don't think is an option. Highly incompetent. Any other politician, even Samalanang, should be voted for. I mean, ahead of Barrow. Barrow one thing, no Bondije. In terms of
so bari ita Barrow bondi no la jede atelemu incumbenti.
Na ma famanke imbo ibe nyini ka kanne.
Why? Abe doko fananke kanne. At least ate saitan dino mo la ko. Nali yembula jang ngani menda dimbo le tenten ngale silol jela ale kurangol jele so you ika baro bondije nyamen among so ne nyamale
no be menna ibe nyini ka kanne what I think munatin nako Talib nyanda fenkala ahead of Barrow.
No, I'm saying for the voters.
Oh, for the voters. Okay. No, I thought you were asking my own opinion. Own opinion.
I'm just saying, coming for example,
the voters,
in 2026 na da karte fayo kono. Ite amira munebe je mosa fo menna ko. Nyina batin na lambe Talib tala nga baro tuje because comme ka fe nyame baro has something to show for. Mune batin na nga Talib ta nga dabo tuje, mune batin na nga Talib ta nga Essa fa al tuje.
Okay.
So basically I'm looking at the chances here. What is it about him? Realistically, Isafono Mennako could be a reason for people to want to go with him and not others.
I mean, Barrow, as I said, like in politics of infrastructure, Abemenke can obviously Mojamaka Jeloko, Barrow Bakatakan in terms of roads and electricity and all that, so we need to give him chance. Mr. Dabo, for example, a lot of people will tell you that, well, Akebatale, even though he's competent, he has experience and exposure, but Akebatale, So for some people also, corruption o siara banko kane, banko mantrata kanga, nyantata nyameng, batabe kerinje, Baro is just focused on building roads and all that not. Therefore, we need somebody may along cone. But we need to take a shift from the old guards or the old style of politics. Now, most of the Mayanonko is young and more vibrant. And of course, I track record for Soto. So if you look at Talib, as I said, I track record in Soto. I mean, even though I'm me back up, but at least I experienced in sort of political corner. And some people feel like he's young, he's visionary, and all that. Not, I think we need to give him chance. So, I'm wolem ko ala track record ning anim fanang ala that unifying figure ning I mentioned mo jama ka jibe nyameng how he's relatable to people, young people, especially and even across tribes, across identities and all that. Jama be je ka wole je ko okay, you know what? Talib could be that unifying figure here. Well, we ko baro thing Dabo Fananteng and these old guys, it seems we are tired of them. Let us give chance to somebody, a young person, who is highly relatable, who has the exposure, the track record, and the experience to be able to move this country from one step to the other. So the chances of winning election, as I said, are depend on certain conditions like how he's able to build momentum across the country. KM Damanteng. Because Niajibe, but say URR will CRR one other places will be ye quartier jamane soto anu baro bala fenko base bill ka wolto it seems like I want to control it. So Talib needs to penetrate in those areas highly foul to penetrate to be able to win election, but also Barola camp is intact. We want to see Talib Bodo Fanam penetrate Nola Nyameng. That also will determine his chances in the election because Mojama be ni diam de kafe ko well Talib na tata no ngai Barola mo Mojama tala Baroya. But Faba Kenola, Fata Kenola, it depends on the family. Ibe mundo ku sifa lele kala puruka je ko ye Barola can penetrate. Nim Barola can remain intact, it is going to be highly difficult for him and UMC. But near Baro penetrate no yala vote solta. Itata for santo to fanan fenka in especially URR, Haliman Kuba Keno URR, but CRR ni LRR worker NBR. If they're able to do a lot of groundwork in those places, I think they'll be able to upset Baro in the election.
So ye Talib la kukendolu fo mensatinda no ay gagné
One minute, please. 1 minute.
So lafa ka fo ne ko mun kullel beje men sala politiko tiñano mol men yalan ko e ka silanna so Talib la karola. What are some of the things men ke dewje yamir andu yamir fanan ko nase kunnoje Talib se muneke no to overcome that?
Well, Jamaica still menna wolem ko it's going to be the style of na in power. Mol melialon ko imam bata political kono, yanane dunanje especially the elites Jamaica sila wala. That elite fenko nyi wala na fanga be men foka nyi ka fo kaira ba vinyu banjun kol mantara fenko nyi konan all that because Jamaica sila ndam walti. Maybe nana ta whether it's going to be the same old style ngamel long kabrim PPP Jamano or not. But I think what he can do, this is a good start. The executive GB, the composition itself, tells a lot about how they're committed to maybe Doba Dingol and Idabe from the start. And then grassroots politics too.
Essa Njie kuntula jenne nak ñininkar laban which I want you to answer. Biringa karafa soto jang. Karafa ko dia ye NPP ni UDP crackle. Manam wala basis wala akoy la dingol be bokan na walleldo. Does that make sense politically? 20 seconds.
Well, the UDP yet model target obviously, but I don't think warata wanyama based on Tole Menje because mang group a specific group or groups of people coming kavako mbodona UDP and data UMC maje follow, and I'm not sure anybody can say ko wole ketale. So the UDP crack on I think individual influential people in UDP all those sort of nole. In terms of NPP, mam moje follow because you make a political party, mam meeting of follow me alonko, people start showing allegiance, shifting from the NPP or UDP to their party. So that is something we will not be able to determine right now.
Yes, Watu Banda. Thank you very much, Essa Njie. Mbadingolu. Wolemu Essa Njie ti ala Londo Lukata Politico la Carola aka wala karandi University of the Gambia aba wala karankang America Banko kanjam ngamira koita mobe malako ala wala da koita malabake ay kulu fahamle ay fahamro fana warandi ay miro fana warandi kujama la Carola men beden nim politiko la Gambia Banko kambe Essa Njie lamba tentula watole deta ma demanding hajo do lesuro nyanda tala men topoto la bari nga je nga tentu atol men fana ben jibe kangal bella moy kan tolu men siata mo keme woriti life nyin tembenna ngal beje ngal tentu nga jamal soto men be bulakan noma e ben jibe kan internet oro YouTube nim Facebook an black ko tengol to ngal beje ngal tentu ngamo soto jang ikaf me ko Usman Cham atako thanks to both of you, wonderful program. Usman abarakata ben jibe kan Facebook le ikaf me ko moral kan wo ben jibe ka YouTube le atako NPP, we are taking more from their voters, not interested in their executive because they make a lot of noise. Ngamira omu NPP Talib la supporter the United supporter le mwoti at fanambala miro satakan kachato mem mojam. Nga doso ta jawaben jibe ka YouTube le memo Abdullah Jabanti atako Talib is the architect of local governance in the Gambia. Ngamira Unite fasala le mu woluti atul men beben jibe kan ngal be jayi nga doso ta jawamu Ibrahima Junior Nyabali atako, but Talib is very corrupt as well. In the commission, he always run away from responsibility. Ibrahima ben jibe kan Facebook la tabe men fo kan ngamra tabe Talib ye karakoten wala atabe men ngitandi kan akatla miroto menje commission oto wo commission of inquiry into local government ako Talib ala miroto tapalewole mu dobe je woto mu rohele do fana men jibe ka YouTube ataka la miroto Talib mu jamfa lalati ako Talib is a better, God will not help him inshallah. So nga mo jamalu je dolu jeri nyalu kilinta dol jeri nyalu fatata kodo bari wo nyanya nyama ngali be jey ngal tentu atul men yalon ko atul lel bulatan noma nying kibaro to jambi na Bitilo to alama tilo to diala alama be tankala katanin karato lambe tentena la kanin kacal samala le nan jang na da alambe murna nan jang ni jumanala ala baraka alama tilo to diala alama be tankala katanin karato la wassalam ala baraka